Okay, so when last we left off, I was talking about doing the face GUI, and we've kind of done that. We're doing the conversations at the moment, which is kind of good. Kind of happy with how that's gone. Let's just see whether or not this is going to work this time. So it should be. Hopefully. Yeah. Okay, so let's show off where we've got to. This might be a little bit interrupted. I'm kind of in the main house today, so people might just come in, which would kind of be weird. Oh, it would also be good to know, is audio working? So let me just, is audio working? Just to make sure that we are actually online. It would be pretty bad if we weren't. Let's see. I just want to just check to see whether or not this is actually working. It's a bit depressing when, you know, it isn't.
We're kind of in the main house today, yeah. So people might just come in.
Yeah, oh, that's looking pretty good from here. Yeah. Okay, good. I've checked it. I'm happy. We're live. Finally online. So sorry about all of that. So let's start again, shall we? Welcome to the Soul Trader live stream. We are in the middle of building a top-down space shooter with some interesting history elements. At the moment, we're working on conversations. So I'll show you where we've got to. So here we are creating a brand new history. We generate 200 years of history before we start the game. We are generating like a whole different set of professions, characters, family trees, that kind of thing, which is what's going on here. And in a minute, you'll see one of any 25 possible families that you can kind of join. So let's go for this family here. Eduardo Miller Bryce, let's say we're a boy. Clifford is the name that we're given. We can change that in a minute. Let's take after our father, who's now a space traffic controller. So we're now aged 4. Now we can choose what we're doing well with at school. So let's go with, or not so well with, let's go with Jim. And then we've made a few friends. We moved to Valhalla, interesting. And we can choose what we want to do. This UI is all placeholder and will change pretty soon. Management trainee, courier. Yeah, let's go for that one. Aged 18. Haven't quite got the brains to go to university for some reason. I don't quite know why. Middle management job? Yeah, let's go and work in the prison. Okay, so we've got a bunch of people here. Oh, look, we've got married to Ryan Devonport. Is that Ryan a girl's name? That doesn't sound right. Sometimes I come across names in my names database which just don't sound right. Yeah, Ryan, I'm sorry, you are not a girl's name. Gone. Okay, next time there won't be Ryan. It'll be Mirna, which is a girl's name. Okay, anyway, we've married to a girl called Ryan. We're starting a game. So at the moment it's 8 p.m. You can't quite see that because of the debug GUI stuff here, but it is 8 p.m. Monday the 2nd of March. That means that a bunch of people will be out in bars, and you can now make friends with them and go and see them. So let's go and see. This is where we work. We're not really interested in that. The Fresca. Let's go for the Fresca bar. Lots of people in the Fresca bar. Let's check them out. Okay, so yeah, the GUI is all placeholder. It will change and improve. Okay, so we have Don Blight. Do we know anyone here? Oh, our wife is here. There's our wife. She's socialising. She looks kind of freaky with the old bionic eye. But she's, she's getting on with us. So the blue there, it shows her contact with us. She's saying that we are Blue, which is a personal friend, which means we're pretty close, but not as close to her as her dad, which is our father-in-law, obviously. So that could potentially cause marriage issues later. But anyway, we're not going to talk to her. Let's meet someone here who looks interesting. How about the barman? Dong Brazil. Love it. So Dong, let's see what we've got here. He knows a few interesting people. A friend of a friend there. He might know some interesting people. Let's go for him. So Dong Brazil. Let's chat to him. So he's asking us if we want a drink. We'll say yes. So he's given us a drink. That's good. So let's make some small talk. Ah, you have a brief present discussion with Dong about the weather. You have made friends, which means that when we next go to Dong's... look, your friend here. Oh, wow, crikey. He's a close friend of ours. That was quick. So where are we on his list? Let's see, we should be here somewhere. There we are, Dong's friend. But he's listed as a close friend of ours, which is kind of weird. Where are we? Clifford Devonport. Why is he such a close friend? I think that's a bug. Yeah, he's not a close friend, he's just there. Yeah, that appears to be a bug. So let's have a look at that bug. We can do that in a minute. We can make friends with other people, or we can make some more small talk with Don. We feel like we've deepened our friendship. Awesome. So that means that if we go back to us, you can see that Dong is now a social connection of ours, which means that he's not just an acquaintance, we've actually made friends with him, so we know a little bit more about him. We don't know much about him yet, but we know a little bit about him, which is quite cool. So as you can see, this is changing all the time. People are coming and going. So our wife has now left. I don't know where she's gone for the night. We can find that out, actually, if we just go up here. And where is she? She's at home. She's gone home. That's fine. It is, midnight. It's time for everyone to be going to bed, which is kind of reasonable. So that's all good. Let's just get on the comments, make sure. Yeah, I'm not missing anything. That would be bad. Okay. Cool, so that's great. So I'm kind of happy with how that's gone. There is a bug that we wanted to fix, which was the fact that Dong, this guy, is now listed as... Oh, interesting. I think I know what the bug is. It's just that we're not clearing a flag. So let's have a look at the character sheet controller. This is the code behind this kind of right-hand, where are we, third of the screen. Now that closeness label that's set there is being set by, it's being set here, relationship closeness to friend, just setting the viewer closeness. Now that's us to the person we are looking at. Now relationship closeness at index, that should have given us the right value. I'm a bit surprised by that. The viewer closeness here should not have been... I mean, that is correct. The green is correct because we're now a social friend of this guy. And our view of him is, yeah, he's also a social connection of ours. So that's good. He's still working. Crikey. 3 AM, he's still working. Let's see if we can make some more small talk. Yeah. And order another drink. Yeah, he's still a bit bored with us, but he's quite happy to chat for a bit longer. So what that means is that basically the view that he has of us is going up. So he's kind of working his way up through, as you can see, through our social connections to become a personal friend. Now, I won't be able to continue making small talk for him forever. He'll get fed up with me eventually, and then all I can do is order a drink or say goodbye. But that gives you an idea. Now, security guard, is he working? Yeah, he's working. And it looks like everybody's left except us, which means that the bar, it's 4 AM, the bar is closed, and they're just cleaning up. So we'll say goodbye and go back to the city. So that kind of gives you some idea. What I want to do today, we kind of run out of time, which is frustrating today to actually get this done. But, okay, everything's shut now, it's 4 in the morning. When is the next? Oh, the spaceport's open. These guys, I guess, are working. Yeah, they're all working. So mother-in-law. There we are. Yeah, she looks rather like her daughter, especially with the bionic eye. Clearly they've got something going on there. Yeah, interesting. There she is. Yeah, like mother, like daughter. What can I say? She's obviously a bit of an older version of her. But yeah, looks pretty similar. Okay. So what I wanted to do is if we can find someone we can actually talk to, those guys are all working. So I think at 5 AM there's not much to do unless you actually know these people, and we don't know her well enough to actually interrupt her. If you look at our relationship with her, which is pretty non-existent actually. Don't think she likes us very much. That's interesting. Sometimes that happens. So it looks like we've never really kind of hit it off with Leslie, our mother-in-law. I'm going to rename this because she's my wife, so I'm going to call her Rachel. There we go. So yeah, there we go. There's her story. Anyway, we're just kind of waiting for things to open. I think once we get to about 7 or 8, things will open. And we can start talking to other people. I think we've tried that one. People will go to work and we can talk to them then. But yeah, at this point it's a good time to kind of check out your ships and work on stuff. That kind of thing. So... Okay. 7 AM, sometime soon, things will open. What I want to do as well is I'm going to put a really big planet behind this when we get the GUI. My artist's working on GUI backgrounds pretty soon. And then I'm going to have the dawn kind of rising over the planet, which will be pretty awesome, I have to say. So I'm going to work on that. Not just yet, but yes, certainly soon. Okay, some of these places have opened. The Admiralty's opened. Great, so our cousin is at the front desk. Okay, so what I want to work on today is this. Neutral, impressive, flirtatious, obliging. What I want to do is tone of voice. So I want to put some code in so that we can specify what the tone of voice is for any particular person. So I want to be able to say I'm impressive or flirtatious or obliging. So I need to put in some code, just shut that off for a minute, which actually does that. Now, the way that I want to do that is I want to go for conversation. I want to create some data first. So think about the data first and then work out what we want to make happen. Great. So let's have a look at some of the way that the other CSVs are done. So we've got, here's another conversation CSV. This is how the conversations work under the hood. So we've got string, which will be flirtatious, and this will be tone flirtatious. Okay, so that's slightly bigger. Then we will have let's close that. What else do we say? Impressive. So what I'm doing is I'm just thinking about the way that the data is going to be structured, and I want to make these tones data-driven. Impressive, obliging. What was the last one? Totally forgotten. Let's just load up the code. Flirtatious, obliging, or neutral, which is just a kind of standard option. So let's have 3. Okay, so we can do a few things here. So basically, we want the tone to be shown. Oops, no, I don't want that. We want the tone to be shown to us in a particular way. Basically, when a certain set of things are true. Now, at the moment, I'm just going to make the tone. You can set the tone to any of these things at any point, because I don't really care. But in the future, you might want to have a particular tone that you could use for asking for work or pleading or something like that. I can imagine that happening. But at the moment, I'm just going to set it so that you can, so it doesn't matter what you're doing, and we'll do that later. But so as a starting point, all we want to do is say your attribute target. Actually, this is just your attribute target attribute. Now, what this is that each of these are pitching one of your attributes against another one. Now, if you have a greater attribute than somebody else, you can take a risk and try and do some kind of win a battle of attributes. So, for example, the flirtation is all about your charm versus their wisdom. If that makes sense, let's just organize that. Yeah. So this is, sorry, I should explain. This is just a CSV file. As you can see, when I select them, they're all just commas. But I'm using Vim with a CSV plugin, which allows me to kind of format them neatly. I just find it easier to edit these in raw CSV than dropping down to Excel or something. But there's no reason you can't just use Excel to edit these. So I'm looking forward to the time when people mod in new tones of voice, which should be quite cool. So then oppressive, I worked out what all of these are. So impressive, it comes down to a battle of mind against probably their charm, to be able to see through your mind games. And obliging comes down to your wisdom, how out to their mind. So whether or not they could be really obnoxious and annoying, or slow and difficult to understand, and that comes down to how patient you are. And with the impressive, you've got to obviously out-talk them, and their charm they have to be not socially aware enough to know that you're running rings around them, basically. So that's the idea. Now that means that basically, any time that you try and use a tone of voice in a conversation, let's just do that. There we go. What's going to happen is something good or bad may happen. So this is going to be this is the effect success and the effect failure. So this is going to be another string. So we're going to say tone, flirt, failure, and then tone, tone, flirt, success. No, I've got those the wrong way around. Failure, success. I can't see that properly. There we go. And I'm actually going to say just flirt because it's easier. Okay, and then tone, impressive, success, tone, impressive, failure. And again here we've got tone, obliging, success, tone, obliging, failure. Great. So now, if we just look at this properly, we've just got a little setup of the data behind one of these tests, which is kind of all I really need at this point to start us off. So now the next thing I'm going to do is just kind of load that in. That's really easy to do. So let's just grab the code that does that. I'll just find the piece of code that I need. Clearly it's not in here because I can't find it. Oh yes, here it is. Right, so we're going to load a new CSV file, conversation tone. That's coming into the new state blob data, which is the big set of all of the data. So let's see conversation tone data. And then I'm going to just search for this in the code. So here we have the loading of the AI response data. You saw that CSV earlier. I'm just going to change AI response. Start again. Just going to change AI response to tone. Yeah, perfect. So now we've got a conversation store. Yeah, and then we're going to load the tone conversations. Now obviously they don't exist yet. We need to do something very similar to what we're doing here. And this is going to be tone conversations. So at the moment it's not going to do anything, but we need to do exactly the same thing. So conversation store string. We need some fields just to store the tokenized values. I'm going to grab the field count by doing a CSV tokenize, and now we're going to assert that the field count is whatever. Oops, let's just make that split that way actually. Whatever the tone CSV file is, so that is 5. Cool. So that's fine. So now we basically have to create a new conversation tone. We haven't got one of these yet, but we're going to have one soon. Let's push start arena conversation tone. Now, if we get anything in the first field, we'll actually make one of these. If we don't have anything in the first field, we're just not going to use it. Oh, and I've missed a bunch of stuff here. So this is static data, and we want to go through all of the strings, and we just need to end that for loop there. Great. So if we don't have anything in the field, then we'll just leave it blank. Sometimes you leave trailing stuff in CSVs. It's just easier to do it that way. So let's just have a look at again what we've got in the CSV. So the first one is just simply a hash. of the first option. So tone string is going to be simply a hash of the field 0. So take a hash of that and we'll store that as the string hash. I'll call that a string hash. And then we've got our attribute is, now this will be a CSV attribute, so I've got some code that reads these things in, like this, and the same for target attribute. And then we've got a couple more strings, so this is easy enough to do. So that's number 3, and that's number 4, and this is going to be success string hash and failure string hash. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, fine. So now we compile that. It won't compile because we don't have a conversation tone yet. I'm just going to add the code for that. So identify field, yes, and fields. Okay, let's see what the next thing is. Unknown type name conversation tone. Did you mean conversation? No, I didn't. I did not mean that. I meant conversation tone, which we haven't written yet. Okay, conversation statement. This is the where I'm storing all this conversation stuff. So let's just create a conversation tone and then run the code. Running the code. Right, so we need a string hash. That needs to be target attribute. So we need a few things here: string hash, and then we need a success string hash, and then a failure string hash, and there's a couple other things: an attribute, your attribute, and then target attribute. And I think that should do it. Now the only thing we're not doing now is doing something with it. Which obviously we need to do. Let me just make sure my chat window is still up. This is very important. Okay, so that will work fine, except that we're not actually doing anything here. So what we need to do is, once we've done that, once we've actually got one, we just need to assert state conversation tone count is less than array count. Now we don't have any of this stuff, I might point out. Conversation tones. Yeah, I haven't written any of this code yet. State, but we're going to have it in a minute. Conversation tones, state conversation tone count plus plus equals tone. Brilliant. And let's just see out that's count. Cool. So now we just need to add some stuff to this game state to store these. Yeah, nothing in there. Yes, I know. So let's load the state. There it is. Let's pop it after these. Tone count. And then we want conversation tone. Conversation tones. How many are we going to have? Not a huge number. I don't think that'll be a lot. I might start with 32. We'll assert if there are any more than that, and that's fine. Okay, great. So when I run this, hopefully that will all work fine. It's probably worth just going through that code just to make sure it's okay. So that was a new state CVP. Let's see, conversation tones. So we should, in theory, hit this quite quickly. Yeah. So let's just make sure those tones look correct. So we've got charm versus wisdom with some various string hashes. Then we've got, oops, I pressed the wrong button. We've got mind versus charm, and then we should have wisdom versus mind. Perfect. Yeah, that looks fine to me. Okay, so now we've got that. Let's just quickly check that in. It's quite nice to just do the stuff in steps. Oh yes, there was a female given name to add as well. I will just quickly do remove incorrect. Okay, so that's done. Let's do the next thing, which is yes. Yep, that's the code that loads it. Yep. And then the composition tone and the store of the actual tones themselves. Great. So, oh, and I need to add the data as well. Otherwise, we won't be doing anything. So, right. So now we can just say basic input data for conversation tones. Brilliant. Okay, just making sure that we've got stacks of chatting. That's always good. Let's just double check. I don't have an easy way of looking at the chat, unfortunately, other than going to here. Let's see whether or not we've got any chats running. Okay, good. So that ran. That's fine. Yep, right. I'm sitting in the chat room now. Okay, so that's a bit better, isn't it? Right. So now I've done that. What I need to do is actually add the code. Actually make the conversation do the thing that we wanted to do. So here's the code that actually adds the talk options, and I need to do a similar thing to what I'm doing here. This is actually producing the talk options at the same time. So that's not really what I want. What I really just want to do is just look through all of the tones, which I can do here. So that's the patience icon there. Produce the talk options for the next statement the player can say. Okay, so now what I should be able to do is, I think I've got talk option tones somewhere. I can't read that. Let's try again. Chat OLL. Yeah. Okay, talk tones. That's what I want. So at the moment they're hard coded. So what you saw before is this kind of these hard coded talk things. What we're going to do now is we're going to take them directly from the conversation tones in the state, so that they are data driven. Okay, so tone index is tone index plus conversation tone count. Less than conversation tone count, I should say. Plus, and then what we should be able to do is do something like this. Reasonably straightforward to do. I'm just wondering whether or not to use a template. Templates are a bit of a hassle. I could just use a child content tag and just build it. This is tones E. So I could just simply say tones E, I want a div, I want the ID to be whatever the tone is. No, you see, that's not really what I want. I think I'm going to need to do this properly. Right, so what you do is, if you want to use a template, which means a snippet of HTML, tone template. We clone it, then we basically look for the IDs within that, and we set them. So let's create this template. This is going to be talk tone template. Actually, no, not that. It's going to be back out here. Talk tone template. So we'll wrap it within a new div, like that. Okay, so the ID we don't care about. care about the class. We're probably not going to do this test thing, so I'm just going to leave that commented out at the moment. We're going to change this ID to be the text. I'm going to remove this placeholder text. Okay, so now what we should be able to simply do is say if we've got a particular tone, let's just do what we were doing for the options as well, which is here. So we get the text, we don't need the icons, but I'm just going to grab that piece of code there. Oops, let's not replace, I've lost it. I don't know how to do this. I think it's in, yeah. No, not that one. There we go. Vim keeps a ring buffer of pastes that you do, and I always forget how to use it, but I managed to figure it out now. Okay, so now we just need to grab whatever the tone is going to be. So let's just do this by piece. So let's do the easy ones first. Tone E. We don't need any icons. What we need to do is set the tone to be whatever tone we've got. Oh, we actually haven't got a tone yet. Conversation tone equals state conversation tone count plus tone index. Cool. So now we've got the tone. We can set the tone on as a pointer on the element. We're setting the text correctly. The classes should be set okay. We can now actually just add that tone E there, and then we can just remove the existing reference because we have already done it. Done the clone, set the text, and removed it. Cool, so that should be fine. There was one other thing I needed to do. I don't think I can think of what it is, so let's just start with that. Conversation tone to little c. I did mean conversation tone, yes. Oh, and are these things pointers? Yes, they are. So I can just do that. That's fine. Okay, let's see what happens now. So this works. So what we're going to need to do now, yes, it's the text. We don't have anything in our buffer. There was something I was missing. So at this point, what I need to be able to do is display a string. What I need is to be able to display the tone and then the string hash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically set the text of the tone to be whatever is in that string hash. Now the string hashes, if you remember, are these: tone, flirt, aggressive, obliging. So what I need to do now is to load my strings file, which I should have open, and then I've got to put in tone, flirt, tone, impressive, tone, obliging. I've actually got to put something useful and sensible in here. Flirtatious, impressive, and obliging. Great. And I also need to sort this whole thing by not the top line, but everything else. Cool. Okay, so close that one, close that one. So now we have those particular things that we wanted to say. The only thing I want to do is, oh yes, I need to do tones E. Let's just clear out whatever's there already in the original list. And that reminds me, I need to go, oops, chat, no, not that one. The existing ones here are actually in the wrong places. And I need a neutral one as well. That's good. So I need to add this one anyway. So what I could do, let's think about this. I could just hard code it, which is one thing. I'm thinking about whether or not to actually just put a neutral one in here that doesn't do anything. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. No, I think I'm going to just hard code one in because I don't want the game to be that screwed upable. Right, so the first one is to be just one of these. So I'm going to do a Tony. I'm going to do. We're doing this already for Oh Goodbye, aren't we? Yes, I remember. So we're going to just grab the string for sol hash tone neutral. So neutral even tone where you're just being nondescript. That's what we're after. We don't need a pointer attribute. We can add it, and then we can say tones e get child 0 set id to be tone neutral, which means that once we set that ID, we'll check for that first before we actually check for anything else. And then I can remove reference here. Cool, so that adds the basic one, and obviously I need to go back into here and say, oops, no. Yeah, tone neutral just says neutral. Perfect. Okay. So let's see if that works. Oops, that's my intention. Right, so that compiled anyway, so let's see if that actually runs. So what we should see are those, pretty much what we saw before, because I've set the original tones in data to be the ones that we were seeing before. But let's actually see if that's true. The big difference is now that they're in data, we should be able to filter them, actually do stuff with them that's not hard-coded like what we've got right now. Okay, so what's the time? It's 8 p.m, so we need to head to a hotel or a bar. Right, so let's have a look at Vincent. Yay! So that, I think, is doing exactly what I wanted to do. Now, the other thing that I can do is actually now make these a bit smaller, because I'm not using the text. Let's see. I'm looking for the chat. Oh no, that's what I'm looking for. These talk tone option tones are quite large. Got a big height. I could probably halve that. Let's see. Yeah, that's better. Much, much better. You see them now. Okay, cool. So now we're choosing a tone, so we can do that. It doesn't obviously do anything yet, but it will obviously eventually do stuff. I should probably pre-select neutral, which I'll do in a minute. Okay, so now we can still make small talk. Made friends with Vincent, fantastic. Ooh, Vincent's mother, look at that. We also need to get information about this guy. Sorry, let's say goodbye now. This guy's already our friend. Oh, he's left. That was a shame. Let's chat to Vincent again. Yeah, so now we've deepened our friendship again. Let's see whether or not Vincent is a good friend of ours yet. Looks like he is almost. We still didn't fix that bug with the label. We need to think about that. Yeah, we're getting closer. It's difficult to know how far to go with it. Now, unfortunately, my patience doesn't rewind over time. So we should be able to make ourselves a personal friend of his quite quickly. Let's see. Still social. I don't know much about him yet. Where are we on the list? We're quite high up. Yeah, we're high up on his list now. We're still only social, which is a bit surprising, I have to say. I don't know why that is. Kind of being, aha, interesting. So now I'm thinking we are his top friend. Yes, we are. Yes. Okay, so yeah, we were still social. Yeah, I know what that is. That's a bug that I need to fix. Which I will do in a minute once I've sorted out the syntax. Relationship, there we go. Yeah, so basically, if we're his top friend, this bit of code never runs. So what we need to do is just say we'll only do that if we're not his top friend already, and we'll return anyway, so we don't hit that invalid code path. Fine. So I'll fix that in a minute. I'll check that in a minute. Install that. Yeah. So how long have we got? We've got 5 minutes left. Need to think about what the next thing to do is. I'm not sure I'm going to get much past that. I think the only thing that I'm going to be able to do is select the initial one. Choice set. Show, click. We need to choose a particular thing. So interesting. Just looking at how this is working at the moment. Slightly surprising. This is the code that does the choosing. We use this, it gives the little green buttons that you've seen before when we choose an age. So I just want to check the choose a choice. Where does that come from? Oh, okay. Choice is set here. Choice is basically the hash of the ID. Right, so we do need to set all of the IDs on those things in order to get the choice correct. And we also need to have a force choose, which we can easily do. Choose U32 choice, and then we can just say choice equals choice. Okay, that's fine. So now we've done that, we should be able to go back to our chat code here, and we should be able to say, we've got a chooser here, and we can say choose sol hash tone neutral. There we go. Brilliant. So now we've chosen that. I'm aware that I'm kind of doing these hashes in line. It's not very efficient because I have to go through and do it's probably at least one add or a couple of an add and a multiply, basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's like 10, 12 add multiplies. But I'm not concerned about the performance of this code. This is not the slow bit, so I'll make it work, and then if it becomes a bottleneck, I'll make it faster later on. Right, so now we're choosing the tone neutral. The interesting thing here is that we're going to have to set all of these. So I need to say last child set ID, and this ID is going to need to be the thing that we are choosing. So what is going to be the ID of these things? Let's just use the string hash. It's just the first one. I think that's fine. So we know which one is chosen. That will be fine. Oh, we can just check which one is selected, actually. It's not very difficult. Yeah, that'll be fine. But it would be nice to be able to choose a particular one. The other thing we need to do is we need to pull this out, actually, looking at this. Yeah, so this choose is going to need to be a bit more complicated than this. It is going to need to do that choice, but it's also going to have to do this, which is the updating of the GUI. So if we just say choice equals choice, and this is choose, U32 choice, and then we should just be able to say choose that. That's it. Cool. Great. Where's the other coming from? Ooh, interesting. Can't do it like this. Interesting problem. I think probably the easiest thing to do is to say, instead of other is span, we need to check the hash, which is kind of annoying because that is slow. But again, make it work and make it fast. And I'm not sure choosing is going to be the slow bit for our code. What we basically need to say is the choice equal to the hash? with, of course, the choice spelt correctly, like that. Okay, so now that should still work. If it doesn't work, it'll be very obvious very soon. Yes, this is a problem. We do have the original element we used, don't we? We have element. So we should be able to do this, I think. Okay. Again, it's going to need to be element. Okay, never const string. That's what it needs to be. C string. Okay, unreferenced, reference, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. So we can't set the ID to be the string hash because that's the hash of the ID. This is problematic. This is tricky. Because this is a number. We want to be able to set the ID of the thing, but we don't want it to hash a hash, which is frustrating. I may have to change the way that this is working completely, because this hash ID stuff is bogus, to be honest. All I really need to do is chosen index. That's all I really want. Let's just completely change the way this works. Oh, I think we can be right. Okay, so when we have an event, we make sure we choose the choice. If the choice is set, we choose a particular choice. This is going to come down to which element we choose, and I'm going to need to check to see which element we are in. So when we choose something, here, we're going to have to say we choose a particular index or a particular element, which is okay. We can deal with that. I know I'm aware I've run out of time, but I'd like to get this done. So we're going to choose span. Yeah. And then here, this is going to be, let's just grab that because that's what we need. Oops, there. I'm going to pop that in there. Yeah. And then we're going to basically say that we need to find out which index we're interested in. We need to say if other is equal to element, then chosen index equals to I. And we can forget that, and then we can just say other equals element. Perfect. That's fine. That's all fine. Okay, so then it's just going to be a bunch of people who complain a bunch of times about the fact that I've totally changed how this works. Yes, that's because it doesn't exist anymore. Chosen index. Let's go for max uint32. It's not choice anymore. Chosen index is not equal to max uint32. And then cannot initialize properly. Right, okay, so now we can't set it to tone neutral. That's fine, because what we want to be able to do is set tone to E, get child 0. Perfect. And then we don't need to set the tone thing at all. So that's fine. Okay, world controller should still complain. But it's not. We do need to update it for sure. So if we've got sol hash 5, 20, 50, 100, which is insane. So ideally, choose a choice is going to be 0. It's going to be 0, 1, 2, or 3. That's pretty straightforward. We don't care about the ID anymore. This is the only other place we use the chooser. Yep, that's fine. Let's see if that works. We'll know quite quickly. Okay. Have I broken the chooser completely? Let's find out. I have. Look at that. Okay. Let's try and debug this. Okay, so when I click on that, we should eventually get a span set. Yeah, so that's fine. Okay, we choose it, which I should not have gone through, but let's just run that again. There's probably something to do with the wrong element being chosen. So if I just zoom through that, so element itself has a couple of children, but I'm not sure that it's going to be the same. So element other. So this is, it probably comes down to attach, detach, chooser. Let's see. Chooser slow initial city count. So let's just have a look. There it is. Initial. Right, no, it's not. It should be set to something else. So this is the only place I use initial city count. Yes, I do. So this is completely bogus. What we should be able to say is this is the initial city count. And that shouldn't have any ID at all. Like that. What's the error? Form max action. Yeah, I don't care about that. This isn't HTML. Use syntax checker. Okay, so let's try that again. It doesn't need to be recompiled because it's just data. Okay. Yeah, that looks better. Right, let's see if that works. Yeah, that looks like the right number. That probably won't work at all now. Only 3 living people, that's not many. Let's try a bigger one. Yeah, that worked. Cool. So I fixed the chooser. And let's see whether or not I fixed it for the other one too. Okay, so if I visit somewhere with people in it, I'm going to chat to Greg. Yes, it's chosen neutral first off. Now I can flirt or be impressive. Now I probably do want to change the way that this works. I don't really want to flirt with him, so we probably just need to alter the gender. But I'm out of time for today. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Next time, what I'm going to be able to do is show you hopefully all of this working. But we should be having conversations that allow people to hire ships and that kind of thing, so they can finally get out and about back again. So we haven't had that working for a while, so that's hopefully going quite soon. So yeah, it's all pretty exciting. It's all happening now. Everything's coming together. I'm not here next week, unfortunately. I'm away, but I will be here the following week. So I look forward to seeing you guys then.